together different. So again, a big mazel tov to all of us, woohoo, woohoo, that we finished the Shemona Esrei, and God willing, we will make a little celebration. I just have my grandson's bar mitzvah this Shabbat, so I'm trying to focus on that. Okay, at least a little, like slip it in. Okay, so what I wanted us to do now is we're going to get into the Shema. Now, before we get into the Shema, we are going to get into something really important, and that's this thing called the 6 constant mitzvahs. Now, why am I doing this thing called the 6 constant mitzvahs before I do the Shema? Because I want you to know that the 6 constant mitzvahs are all in the Shema. And that is what the Shema is really about. Like Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu and the other paragraphs are really embody all of these 6 constant mitzvahs. Now, so what does that mean? Like 6 constant mitzvahs. What does that mean to anybody? Like you can raise your hand. Tell me, what do you think it means, 6 constant mitzvahs? Anybody heard of this before? Anybody know this? Like, this is important stuff. Okay, so no answers.
That are in your life.
Yeah, wait, say that again. And Sandy's going to say something.
In your life.
Yes, okay, so 6 constant mitzvahs that are going to penetrate your entire being. Sandy, what did you want to say?
They're with us all the time.
Okay.
It's something that you don't have to stop and do something. It's constantly there.
Beautiful. Okay, so you do not have to stop and do something. So you don't have to wait, for Sukkot for your lulav. You don't have to wait for your matzah on Pesach. This is a mitzvah that embodies who you are all the time. Okay, that's a very big reality, and it's found in the Shema. These 6 constant mitzvahs, each one of these pieces, you're going to find in the Shema. So I really think it's extremely important for us to understand what these 6 constant mitzvahs are. Because let's go right even before we start the Shema. What's the kavanah that we're supposed to have when we say Shema? Is one that Hashem actually said, this is a mitzvah. You need to say Shema every day. And now you understand better why. Because when something is constant, what happens to that reference in the brain? The more you experience something, the more you say something, the more you do something, what happens in the brain?
Becomes automatic?
Yes. Okay, so we really need to know this. Okay, this is very important. Okay, the more you do something, the stronger what we call the imprint. And so that when you have to make the decision or you have to know what you're doing, it's like the neurons fire together, right? And you're going to go more towards where that imprint is. So it's very important. Now, what's so beautiful about the brain is this is what they learned starting in the 70s when MRIs were able to be done on living brains. Okay, so what do we know now about the brain? It has neuroplasticity. It can change. You can break habits. Like sometimes you think, oh my gosh, like I'll never be able to change. No, the Torah is telling you. How did the Torah know we could change? Why didn't the Torah just say, okay, we're just like big robots. You keep doing this, you'll be addicted forever. Everyone who's doing the challenge right now, right? We're doing this challenge, a Kedusha challenge, not to be so addicted to the internet and the social media and everything else. And guess what? You're doing teeny tiny changes, but what are you seeing?
Big changes.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, Hashem is saying this is a mitzvah to say the Shema. And how many times do we say it? Oh my gosh, right? You say it almost really I would actually say, you really actually say it 4 times, okay? So you could say the Shema right in the beginning of Birchas HaShachar, even before Psukei de Zimra, where you talk about like Hashem, there's no such thing as a Chacham or a Tzaddik. There's no one wise man or righteous. It's all you, Hashem. And then we say the Shema. You say the Shema in the Shachris, you say Shema in Mariv, and you say Shema before you go to bed. So I would call that pretty constant, okay? Why does Hashem want these 6 mitzvahs that the Shema is representing constantly in your awareness? Why does he want that to be your go-to? Why does he want that to be your go-to? Because the second mitzvah is accepting all malchus shamayim. So let's define what that means. The second mitzvah, like we are not like, I think we sometimes we don't realize like this is a serious contract. You know, like once upon a time, things were a serious contract. People would get married. It was a serious contract. You know, remember all the old movies in sickness and in health and in poverty and in wealth. Like it was like this whole giant thing, right? Like the person was taking an oath. Like it wasn't like just blah, 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 blah. It was, you know, it was like a real holy and important. It was a contract. Okay, so Hashem is saying to all of us, when you're saying Shema, right? You're doing this mitzvah of understanding these 6 constant mitzvahs that will equal to your consciousness. It's how you're going to be making decisions. It's how you're going to be living your life. And this contrast is serious, right? I want you to say to me, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, I am taking on all malchus shamayim. So let's define what that means, because for a lot of people, it's like, what? Okay, so what does the word ol malchus shamayim mean?
The yoke of heaven.
Yes. Okay, so you know how many times I say the yoke of heaven, like in the generation, like much younger than us, they really think I'm talking about the yellow of the egg. All right, I've had so many times where the girl will ask me, why does God care about the eggs? I said, yolk. She goes, yeah, yolk of the egg. No, yolk is not yolk of the egg. So what does yolk mean? What does that mean?
It's like a harness that guides us.
Yes, it's a harness that guides us. Okay, so yoke is the harness that guides us, and it's on top of you, and it's restraining. I want to be honest. If the ox has no yoke, then what can the ox do? Run whichever direction he wants to go. Okay, I want you to know, like, you know, someone in the shul, they just sent me an article. So it's a recent Aisha Torah article. I have to, you know, I could find it. Maybe I'll send you the link. And it was like painful. It was actually painful to read. Okay, so we're talking about the 2020 Pew report. Okay, so this is a report that they do on religion and people's beliefs and this and that. The most unreligious people on the planet are us. Okay, we are the least likely to believe in God. Christians, like there are more Christians. In other words, there's more people who believe in a God than we do. Okay, so he said he's going through the whole thing in his head. He's talking about who he was, this person who wrote the article. So he was a Jew who went to a very conservative shul, very traditional. He went every single Shabbos, you know, like, you know, just to the, you know, drove and whatever, but he went every single week. And he was trying to figure out what was it? You know what the Pew report reported? And he realized that it was true. That he went every week to hear the sermon. Like, you know, what are you going to hear? Like prayer is a little boring. The Torah reading was boring. So they hear what the rabbi had to say. The rabbi never spoke about God. He spoke about anti-Semitism. He spoke about politics. He spoke about Israel, but he never spoke about God. And then he sat back and he realized, like, never this idea of a relationship with God, a closeness to God, an understanding of God, just isn't in the lexicon. Do you know what I mean? It just wasn't in that awareness. So when he got older, he went to India. He wasn't in ashram, like the usual typical stuff. And then Baruch Hashem, he ended up in Israel somehow, the usual story, you know, falls into a yeshiva, learns Torah. And then he says, you know why no Jew wants to be Jewish? Because we have so many commandments. He goes, you go to India, like Esther, Edna, maybe you know, they were saying that they're very religious. They have a lot of deities. They have tons of gods, but they'll have a statue of their God. They'll have a this of their God, and they believe in their God, but they don't get in trouble because of their God. It's like a nice thing to do, right? Like if you're a Christian, it's a nice thing to do. You didn't do it right. You go to confession and it's all over. As long as you believe in Yashka every day, you don't have to do any real tshuva. You just say, okay, I believe in Yashka. I made a mistake. He'll die for my sins. Done. Okay. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it was interesting. He said the reason why it's because Jewish people are looking at like there's just too many commandments. There's just like too much to do. I don't want to do all this. So when you're saying Shema, you better know what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? You are signing on the dotted line and you are saying, you know what? I'm willing to take this yoke. So now I'm going to ask you very honestly, why would you be willing to take the yoke? Why wouldn't you want to be an ox who can just like run in the field and eat whenever he wants and sleep whenever he wants? Why are we willing? Why would we say, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad? We're willing to take this. I'm volunteering. It's not that I'm forced. I'm literally volunteering to take on this yoke. So explain, why would I be volunteering to take on this yoke?
It's in our DNA. We're responsible people. We feel that there's a need to help people to do things. And it's just, but I don't think it's in everybody's DNA.
Your personality for sure, Sandy, you're a tove. You do what's right. That's your whole personality. Okay.
I know that.
But what about those people who are the bracha and the chayim? It's like, what's going on here? Like, what is this? It gives you for you doing
purpose.
This.
Yeah, purpose and meaning. Yeah.
Meaning.
Fulfillment.
100%. This to you makes your life meaningful. And just to be an ox that's running around in the field doing oxy things has no real purpose in the end.
That's why they're all on anxiety.
And 100%, because that pain of feeling lost has to be drowned out by something. It's not being managed. And guess what? When you have this Pintala Yid inside of you, it's not going to let you go. And if it lets you go, because you've gone so far, that's really sad. Do you know what I'm saying? That's really sad. Okay? So this is what's important. So this was important. So we're saying the Shema. We're saying, okay, is this a mitzvah to say a Shema? Why is this a mitzvah to say a Shema? It's the greatest connector you can have. Okay? The greatest connector is I'm signing on the dotted line. I accept this contract. And not only do I accept it, I'm so happy because now I have direction in my life. I have the yoke, you're right. So you tell me right, left, right. Like in our lives, that's what we want more than anything. Don't you hate when you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Right? Like when you know what you're supposed to be doing. It's like the greatest blessing that you can have. And so we're understanding that we need to have this like in our bones, in our kishkas. And that's this idea of the 6 constant mitzvahs. You have to have this imprint in your head. What does the Shema say? What does it mean? So that when I have to make my decisions in life and I have to move forward, I know where I am going. All right. And therefore you will see, like, even if you look, of course I don't have my siddur open, but even if you look, you know, it says, and then if you take a look how Hashem says how much this has to be part of your life. It's like there isn't a moment without it. With all your heart, with all your soul, with all your money, right? And then no, these words that I am telling you, you put them on your heart, you teach them to your kids, you have to talk about them. Okay, you have to talk to them when you are sitting in your house. You have to talk about it when you are going on the way. You have to talk about it when you're laying down. You have to talk about it when you're getting up. Like, just look at this. Okay, look at this. Right? It has to be on your hands, but on your heart. In the tefillin, you have to write it on your mezuzah. So the stuff that is in here is really the key to life. And that's why it's so important. And if you want to ask yourself, like, who am I? You need to be what the Shema is. And if you will be what the Shema is, even when you're not, you know what it says, like a tzaddik falls and then he gets up, you'll know where you need to get up to. You need to get up to again. And it's not easy. The Shema is demanding a lot. I was listening. I couldn't even finish listening. I just couldn't take it. It was so, I was listening on Inspiration for the Nation. I can't remember her name. It's one of these people whose son has been as a hostage for so long. A frum woman. She's wearing like a big tichel. And I think he's like turning 31 years old. And he's in a really bad place. Like some of them were put away. He's like almost like solitary confinement. Like I'm wondering if he was a soldier. I think he was a soldier that was captured. Okay, I don't even know if he mamish is. We're hoping and davening, but I have no idea. Like she hasn't heard. No one has seen him. It's like really, really a terrible story. And she was saying, how hard she's working and saying to him and doing this and doing that. And then the interviewer asked her, like, how is your relationship with Hashem? And she said, it's tough. Like, I'm really mad. Like, I've been trying. I say Tehillim. I've done so many mitzvahs. I take everything on. He's not answering me. And it was very interesting. Like, just the whole dichotomy of who we are. She said, like, he answers me in the personal parts of my life, and I see it. Like all the little things that we all see, the hashgacha pratis. But he's not answering my big question. He's not, you know what I mean? And it's just, and I'm sitting there thinking like, but if she lets go, it's worse. Like she's smart. She's not letting go. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to say, I don't understand. You can because it's real. And that's who you are. And maybe it'll bring you to a different place. But this Shema is what's going to have to take you through all these things. Do you know what I'm saying? This is what's going to have to take us through all this. Okay? So let's look. Yeah? Okay, so let's look like at this. We're going to ask, okay, so we said the 6 constant mitzvahs. I love the way Sandy put it. It's like a state of being. Okay, so we want to be in this state. Okay, so what is the very first one of the 6 constant mitzvahs? It's a funny one in a way. Know there is God. Okay, so what's so strange about that? Like, it's funny. It's kind of like people who are frim know there is God, and people who don't know there is God. So what do you mean by know there is God? Okay, so the very first mitzvah of the 10 commandments is
Anochi
I am
Hashem.
the Lord your God.
Yeah.
Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzeisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim. So here's what we have to do. There's a few ways that we have to know Hashem. That's one. It's his story. What's his story? History.
Creation.
Creation, the history of the Jewish, not even creation. So interesting you said that, Chaya. That's one of the questions the rabbis ask. Why didn't Hashem say, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, she'asa ha'olam, like I created the world? Why did he say, Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzeisicha, which is really in the individual, not in the plural. Right. It's in the individual you, Mitzrayim. Why would he do that?
Because everyone was witness to that.
Okay, everyone witnessed it. It's a personal reality. It's the only religion founded in front of 3 million people. Okay, most of the religions are like, he had a vision, he had a, I always laugh about the Mormons, right? The Mormons are allowed to marry lots of wives. This one guy had this vision. I never trust one guy who had a vision in who knows when, like I forgot it's not a very old religion, like in the 1800s or something, or even much sooner. This one guy had a vision, you can have more than one wife. Okay. All right. So
bravo.
Wife and that second wife, and I'll know how true your vision is. Okay. So anyway, sure. So mamish a historical fact. It's in front of, like I told you, it was in my all-girls Catholic college. Said even they said it. Okay, which I was pretty shocked. All right. So we have to appreciate that. But more than that, each one of us has to study Hashem in our own lives. Like this woman who Nebuch, like, there's this one horrible piece in front of her, right? But she's trying to see all the multiple pieces around it, where she really can see, like, Hashem loves her. None of us can understand any of this. Like, I was thinking, like, you can, like, the same with the people who went through the Holocaust. How can you understand it? millions and millions, and your children and your babies and your cousins and your, like, you, it's just not possible. So the only thing you can do, like if Chalila v'chas, we should never be tested, never, ever, ever, is you have to live in that consciousness, you know what I mean, of the 6 constant mitzvahs. And I do not know, and this is just my, hallway to the next world. There's something greater. And every chesed and everything that she's doing in merit of this son is changing the world for the better, right? And changing all of us for the better and giving us strength. Okay, so we have to know Hashem in our own personal lives. So this is like just a nice story that Rabbi Arush told from Rabbi Elimelech Bitterman. So he said, I guess it's one of his Talmidim, one of his students, or one of his people in Kollel. So it was a nice story. His father called him. He was on his way to be Menachem Avel somewhere. He was on his way to be Menachem Avel somewhere. And like the father calls him and tells him, you have to turn around. Okay, turn around. Like it was a big turnaround. Get off on the other bus. I might have to go. I need to go to this doctor's appointment. And I think I'm going to need your help. So please, can you come? So he was a little bit disappointed, but he's weighing it. And he goes, listen, here's a perfect example. Like here's the old Malchus Shemaim. I would rather be going and finishing being Menachem Avel. But the Torah tells me the bigger mitzvah is, you got to turn around. That's a perfect example, right? The yoke turns you around. So he starts going back towards his father's house. And he's like very close to the father's house. He gets a phone call and the father says, I don't need you after all. I got somebody else to take.
Oh my gosh.
So he's like, okay, whatever. So he gets off the bus, he goes into this little restaurant and, he eats something, and then he has to use the restroom. So he turns to the waiter and he says to the waiter, I hope you don't mind, could you just keep this bag for me? So the waiter said, oh, is this your tallis and tefillin? And he said, yes, it is. Because I'm so happy. The guy goes, what? He goes, I always put tallis and tefillin on. I don't look religious, and I'm not so religious, but this is the mitzvah that I do. And this morning I got to work, and I forgot my tallis and tefillin, and I said to Hashem, please, God, whatever you do, bring me a pair of tallis and tefillin.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Okay? So this is the reality. It's hard because Hashem will show you so much love, and then things can happen that are so different than that, right? And then you have to lean in. You got to lean in hard to those 6 constant mitzvahs. You're going to have to lean in really, really hard. And it could hurt. It could hurt a lot, but you can't let go. And Hashem doesn't want you to let go. And it's really just moving forward in your journey in life. It's not like I can't even, like I couldn't finish listening. It was just too much. It was just too much. It was too heartbreaking. Do you know what I mean? But you understand what I'm saying, right? We understand what I'm saying. Okay. So one is to know Hashem, right? In that your personal reality, know that there's like no coincidences, know that Hashem is hearing all the whispers and all the cries and all the this and all the that. Okay. 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 So another thing is, this is important, like know Hashem, build this up, build this strength, build this belief, build this clarity before you're in a foxhole. What does that mean? What does that mean to
Before you
people?
need it.
Right.
Let it be there when you need it.
Exactly.
Because you've
right.
already built it up.
Right. So that's the same thing, like, when people are coming and they're exercising every day and whatever it is that they're doing, right? You're doing these things consistently for your health, right? Much better be taking your vitamin D every day than having to have infusions, you know what I mean? Right at the end of it. Like, this is the idea. This is the idea, like that constant development, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, now, there are really ideas, there mamish is ideas of the way to strengthen your faith. You know who was very into this? Rav Avigdor Miller. Rav Avigdor Miller was very into that people should strengthen their faith by really studying, like study the body, study the, biology, like look at the wonder, like really look at it. Do you know what I mean? It's really, and if Hashem is not watching and he's not on top, we're done. I don't know why I like listening to Appalachian stories. I don't know, I guess something's with me. Okay, so I like these stories because it talks about people who used to live in the mountains, in America, like in Tennessee and these kind of places, Louisiana. And I find it so fascinating to know that they didn't even use money. There was no currency. It was just about living off the land, you know what I mean? Building your own, log cabin, taking care of your animals. I could not believe this story. So they're saying one of the most beautiful trees in the world is the chestnut tree that used to grow in America. This gorgeous chestnut tree was like, it could live to be 800 years old. Has anybody ever seen the redwood trees? Like these trees are humongous. Like you need like 3 people to hold, hands just to get around it, or 4 or 5 people. Like they really were the most beautiful trees, and it's the most special wood that never rot. It was like a whole gift, right? And the chestnuts were delicious, and they would sell it into the cities. And then one person decided that they wanted to bring the market down, make it cheaper and sell more. So they went to China and they brought back chestnuts from China that came with a fungus, and that fungus contaminated all the trees. And by 1950, billions had been destroyed, and the whole forest changed, the whole, ecological system, everything changed.
Right.
When Hashem set this world in motion, everything is connected to everything. Like sometimes, like you're doing this. I called Devora Wolfson. She's so sweet. I asked her, like, could you do my class for me this Shabbos? Because I'm having the bar mitzvah. It's gonna be too much, And so she said, yeah, like no problem. She goes, because that would be a good merit for this mitzvah, and I need a refuah here, and this would be good for this. Like, what I mean? Like, she sees the ecological, is that the word? Balance of mitzvahs. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so, I thought it was like so incredible the way she said that. So this is important for us. So we have to keep looking. The Makos, when the Makos came to the world, it was like a, my husband used to say crash course. Okay, it's like a crash course in knowing that Hashem is the creator, the supervisor, and the sustainer of the world. And if he takes his finger off it, it changes. And if he wants it to, blood to be water, water to be blood, it's all in an instant. Do you know what I mean? And we need to like appreciate the depth of what that means. And like sometimes you hear these stories of complete miracles, people who are shot and they're okay. Do you know what I mean? People who are, do you know what I mean? Like it's miraculous. Things like, so we have to realize how much this is all in Hashem's hands. So you really want to know this intellectually. Okay? You want to know this with incredible certainty. Right? Because the whole world tells you, no, there isn't. You have to go, no, like history, science, probabilities. This is real. I know there is Hashem. I know there is Hashem. That's a big reality. So now the Torah asks you, listen carefully, and you'll explain what this means. Okay, so it's not only like you shall know this day and understand it in your heart that the Almighty is God. So it's not only that Hashem wants us the intellect to understand it. Okay, you're like the frontal cortex, it gets it, statistics, history, evidence. Okay, Israel standing on its feet, people, Jewish people alive today. Okay, these are statistical improbabilities. Only a God, all the discovery stuff. But now the Torah is asking you, understand it in your heart. What does that mean to you? That's not so like, what? Understand in my head. Let's understand it in your heart. What's your heart?
You feel it.
Okay, very good. Okay, so you feel it, which means you're going to have not only an intellectual connection, what kind of other connection?
Emotional.
Yes. Okay, because intellectual connection, either one of them don't stand well alone. They don't, right? Because if I don't have that emotional connection, I don't know if I can go along for the ride. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like a lot of people will say, yeah, I know there's a God, but I don't think he really cares. I mean, whatever. This emotional connection is, I love you so much, I don't want to hurt you. And how does the Torah tell you a person really learns to love something? It's really important. To give, and another thing, to give, and another thing, to really know them. To know you is to love you. Do you know what I mean? Like that's like that famous story with Rav Yisrael Salanter, and he's in an inn, and these two Russian guys are drunk. It's a very famous story, right? And he said he learned a lot from this story, right? Like, because Igor says, to Boris, Boris, do you love me? And Boris says, sure, I love you. Of course I love you. Like they're both drunk, right? So then Igor goes, if you love me, do you know what pains me? He goes, I don't know what pains you. What are driving me crazy? I have no idea what pains you, but I love you. So he said, no, if you don't know me, then you don't love me. Okay? I think a lot of us can feel that way with relationships, right? You don't feel understood. When you don't feel understood, honestly, you don't feel loved. Because if someone really loves you, right, then they want to understand you. And once you love the person, you understand them, then you're motivated to keep this relationship going. Right? Right? That's the reality. So Hashem is saying, it's not only that I want you to know intellectually, I need you to feel it, just like Lynette said, exactly like that. Okay?
Interesting, Gail. It's
Yes.
interesting that they don't say honor Hashem.
Honor Hashem?
Because they say kabed et havicha, honor your parents, but they don't say.
So interesting.
They say love
That's
Hashem.
a very good question. I think I'm gonna answer it this way. I think, Leora, is that one of the constant mitzvahs is to fear Hashem. So the fear, like awe and fear and honor, very connected. You know what I mean? Like when you're in awe of something, you are going to be usually very respectful, right? Like when we're in, I mean, today's world, I can't even use a mushal. Like there's no, you can't even say, if you're in awe of the president, you would be respectful. Nobody's in awe of anything today. I can't even use, do you know what I mean? Like who's in awe of anything? Tell me, can you tell me one person that is respected on this planet or we're in awe of? I don't think we're like, I'm being even honest. Okay, a gadol, maybe like, if you were, one time I remember I worked for Isha Torah, I was able to, ask Rav Noah something, and I was sitting with him and talking. I was like freaking out. I'm like, like I can't say something silly and I don't know you know what I mean? Like, hey, maybe then. So you would be so super respectful, right? When you're in awe. So that's what I'm thinking. Okay. Now, right. So let's see. When you really, there's another point. Let's go to the points. Okay, so I understand you intellectually. I know you in my heart. I love you. I feel connected. And now it's going to be what a yid has to do more than anything else. Once I love you, I'm connected. I know you. It equals. So just take a look at any relationship. Okay, so your spouse, you know them, you love them, you feel connected to them, and now they ask you to do something.
Respect.
Okay, you'll respect them. What else?
You just
They
do
want
it.
you to do something for them.
You'll do it for them. And what about if they ask you to do something like a little wacky?
Okay.
Yeah, why?
Because they won't ask you to do
Believe in them.
something
Because they
dangerous.
love you.
Believe in them? What's an even better?
You trust them.
100%. Okay, so that's where this knowledge and love and understanding and emotion needs to take you. Do you see what's going on? So in other words, Hashem is not saying, believe in me because I said so. Hashem is saying, believe in me because you know me, because you investigated, because you looked scientifically and you looked through history and you looked through probability, right? And you understood what I've done for the Jewish people, and you see you're still here, and look at all the prophecies and see how they came true. And now appreciate, now that you know me, think about what I've done and our relationship. And the more you know me, the more gratitude, right? You know, I give you life, I give you health, I give you eyesight, I give you, you know, all the things, like every little, my fingers work. Thank you, Hashem. You know, I just met somebody whose fingers are killing them. Do you know what I mean? They're getting arthritis as they're getting older, and it's so painful. Like, Baruch Hashem, every moment, every day, right? Right? And now that you love me, you know all this, here comes the big one. Will you trust me? Because there are going to be times and things that I'm going to do that you're not going to understand at all. Do you see what I mean? Right? So one of the understandings that we need is that we'll not understand. Isn't that crazy? Like, we'll understand to a point, right? Enough to be able to say, I believe. But then if we understood everything, we would be God. Do you see what's going on? So there comes a point. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you work for the boss and you see he's so smart and he does all these wonderful things and he's really great. And then he asks you to do something really stupid, okay? That you're thinking, oh my gosh, the whole company is going to go down the drain. What is this man thinking? And then you have to go, you know what? He's the CEO. I just work here. Right? This is what you told me to do, boss. This is what I do. And that's, do you see how it's leading into this reality? And all of this you will find in the Shema when we start to get into the Shema. But it's just important for us to, anyway, to know this 6 constant mitzvahs, because we have to know them. And it's very good. Like, sometimes you're driving along or you're waiting in Sobeys, stop a minute and go, let me review those 6 constant mitzvahs. Like, I need to have them. I need to know them. Do you know what I mean? Because then when you'll just talk about them, think about them like the Shema says, talk, think, walk, talk, up, down, right? If you're doing this, the imprint gets bigger and bigger and bigger and better. And then we don't have to wait till we're in a foxhole, right? Okay. Amazing. Okay.
Gail,
Yeah.
Gail,
Yes.
just something about the foxhole that you keep talking about. The Chayalim are being called up again, and they've got a huge demand for tzitzis again.
Oh, Baruch Hashem. So what could we do with that?
Well, I don't know if we could do it. I know in
Yeah.
Israel they're tying
Yeah.
and they're asking
Good,
for
Baruch
volunteers
Hashem.
to tie them.
Baruch Hashem.
But I'm just saying that even the secular, they want to wear them when
Oh
they go.
yes. Oh yes. 100%. Because it's a like
It's
they
a shield,
know.
yeah.
I think everybody understands. You know what I mean? What's going on? Like, you know what I mean? They're understanding the probabilities, the this, the that, like, right? So 100%. And Baruch Hashem, they do. Baruch Hashem, they do. And sometimes that's the only thing that motivates us. Do you know what I mean? It's like when push comes to shove, then we finally have to, right? So Mirz Hashem, we should only hear good news. That's all I want. Hashem Yisparach should help us
I mean,
real reality of good news. Okay. Okay. So, right. So when the child, like, this is the idea. Like, so Amuna is, there's like, you know, I don't know what's with dads. Like, they love to throw their kids around. You ever see this? I have one son-in-law, like, always feel like their arms are going to be pulled out. Like, he's always this, and then swinging them around. Like, they are not a chicken for kaparis, but they don't get. So somehow, okay, you know, you have this picture of this little kid who's up on a really high shelf of a bookcase or something, right? And the father goes, jump, I'll catch you. So the idea is that you build enough love and trust that this kid goes, sure, dad, and jumps forward to get caught. And that's what you're trying to build here. This is what you're trying to build. When you start to know Hashem, love Hashem, these are the attributes, these are the things down deep that you are truly trying to feel. Now, one of the things that we have to know is that Hashem knows best. Who remembers when we were young, there was a show called Father Knows Best. Okay, remember that program? It was a very cute program. Okay, so what does that mean? Like, that's not such a simple sentence. Hashem knows best.
Even the bad things he gives us is for our good,
Right.
to help us.
Right, like they always, he used to, I forgot who used to say this. if it was Rabbi Tauber, but it was like, this analogy, like where, you're from another, you're from a third world country, and then you go into a hospital and you see the surgeons are cutting people's legs off and all these kinds of crazy things. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're the biggest barbarians. And really, Nebuch, they're saving this person's life, right? From gangrene or whatever it is. Okay. So this is this idea, like I have all the things that we've been talking about for years when it comes to Amuna and Bitachon, right? Kamzula Tova, and this is all for the best, and to really believe it in your kishkas, right? And we keep saying over and over, start with the small things, all those little annoyances, everything that drives you crazy. The letter didn't come in the mail. They bounced my check. There's a million of these things, right? I lost the bill and I wanted to return the shoes, and you're freaking out, like, what kind of this and what kind of that? Just realize Hashem knows this too, and he's part of this story. And if you want, you could say, please Hashem, I know you're aware of this trouble. I need your help, right? Rather than, oh, I'm such an idiot, or this one is such an idiot, or pointing your fingers everywhere else. All right. So that's an important part of this idea. Okay. So now we're going to do just one more, a little bit of it. And the other one is the second mitzvah in the Torah. So the second of the 10 commandments. Okay. So the first one is, know I am your God. Know it that I took you out of Egypt personally. Every one of your souls was there. Like just the fact that we keep Pesach, remember we said, is one of the biggest chosim we have. And Hashem says, I'm never letting go of you, because if you're willing to clean for a month, you know what I mean? And keep singing Hashem is coming and Mashiach is coming, and you don't see him and you're still doing it, I'm with you forever. That's what it means by signing the contract. Like just like, it's a beautiful thing. Like we have in our tefillin, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. There's an idea that Hashem wears a pair of tefillin, and it's like there's no one. Mika Amcha Yisrael. There's only one nation. See what I mean? Okay. So now, what's the second of the 10 commandments? What's the second one?
Of the 6 constant mitzvahs.
No, this is the second of the 6 constant mitzvahs and the second of the 10 commandments. The first one was Anochi Hashem Elokecha, and the second one is,
there are no other gods.
Yes, Lo Yeh Lecha Elokim, right? You cannot have any other gods. Okay, easy or not?
That's easy.
Not.
Okay, beautiful. Why is it not? Like, I'm not, like, thank Hashem, we don't believe in, like, I don't know, my son was telling me, like, Esther, there's a God, who is it? The Hindus who believe in a God that looks like an elephant with lots of hands. Yeah, right? So like my son was telling me about it. Okay, so like, you know what I mean? Like it's really deities, like, worshiping a cow, worshiping an elephant with lots of hands. Okay, so we don't look at this as, thank Hashem, like we're not in an ashram. Like I'm not tempted by this. I don't know about anyone else.
No.
I'm not tempted to go to the East and meet a guru. I'm just not. Okay, but you know what? If I didn't know any better, there are Jewish kids who are doing that. Unfortunately. Really, unfortunately, because they don't know any better. Okay, so let's say for us, okay, so we're like, I'm not doing that. So what is my don't believe in any other God?
Money, power.
Yeah, okay, good for you, Leora. Okay, so what is our other God? Do you know someone who could help me? I need that protexia, like, how people like, do you know the person who knows the person who I can, that kind of stuff? That's like almost believing in another God. You could say, I'm going to do my hishtadlus, and that's what I'm going to do. But I don't have faith in the fact that if you know that person and you put in a good word for me, then that means I'm going to get the job. I could say it as reasonable hishtadlus, but it's not going to make it or break it. If I get the specialist or I don't get the specialist, it's not going to make it or break it. Yes, I can try, because Hashem says there's a mitzvah of effort in this world, but it doesn't make it or break it. And I don't believe, oh, Donald Trump got in, whoosh, the world is saved. It's not. It's all from Hashem. Or Carney got in, the end of the world. It's all from Hashem. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So you have to be very cognizant of it, because we don't realize it, but we do. Like I only want a shidduch if they're like, right? they have money. Oh, that's so good. They got money. Like I'm being real. It's very hard. It's very hard. I'm being honest. No, like I'm being honest, right? It's very hard. If you lose your job, you almost feel like, stab in the heart. Like, what's going to be? What's going to happen? Who's going to take care of you? You almost forget, like, wait a minute. It was Hashem signing the check. It wasn't do you hear what I mean? So this is one of those things. And today you live in a world of tons of idol worship. Like these influencers, these people who are completely, I'm going to be honest, goonish McGoonish, means worth nothing. What's her name? This like famous movie star who was fiance to that football player. I can't remember, but like she has millions and millions. Who was it?
Taylor Swift.
What?
Taylor Swift?
Yeah, Taylor Swift. I don't know who she is. But what an idiot. Like, what an idiot world. I don't know if she's an idiot, but whatever she said. Like, she's got like 1 million people. If Taylor Swift said it, like, okay, what's Taylor Swift's, credentials? Can somebody tell me? She graduated high school? Okay. Like, what is her credential? She's got a body like nobody else. Like, really, we don't hop it. And we're like, we follow this stuff too. Like we can't help it. It's like an influence in the mind over and over. You're hearing this stuff. Then over and over, you start to like, this was mamish. I'll tell you, it was Hitler's propaganda machine. He just said, you could say a lie over and over and over and over and over. And then what?
People believe.
Start to believe it.
Start to believe it.
Truth. It becomes the truth.
It becomes the truth.
Well, that's what's going on now too.
It's going on. I was, okay, I'm so political. It's terrible. I was listening to Bernie Sanders. I thought I was going to kill him.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did you hear that? The war machine of Netanyahu that asked him a question on anti-Semitism. It's not anti-Semitic to say that Israel has killed 50,000 people and starved children. Excuse me? Let's get the facts here. Hamas steals all the stuff that is brought in from the UN and they even once had, do you remember once on the news, they actually showed how Hamas stole all the stuff and had high, incredible prices and selling it to all the people. And let's think about how many people in Gaza are trying to protest, but then they get their heads chopped off, right? It's like, you're like looking at Bernie Sanders. I was like, excuse me?
Where does he come from?
Where do you come from?
Yeah.
Where do you come from? Hashem Yisparach Rachmanis, like help this man do tshuva or get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm just being honest, like whichever way, but do something. It's just like it was crazy.
Self-hating Jews. They're the worst.
Really crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was crazy.
Terrible.
Literally crazy. Anti-Semitism made 6 million people die, but that doesn't mean like he was like completely neutral, like neutral, the way he said it. Did anyone see this? Yachaya, you saw?
No, I didn't see it.
It was on Fox News. It was like, I couldn't believe it. Okay, all right, enough of my bandwagon, but I'm just trying to tell you, this is like, we really need like, because what drives him? Power and fame. That's what's driving a man. And I laugh my head off when he talks about oligarchs and how there's people who have so much money. This guy is a multimillionaire with 3 homes.
Yeah.
Okay, like, don't tell me you're like the poor, poverty-stricken American. Like, give me a break. All right. I'm very curious how much tzedakah you give. Like,
Wants to tax only the rich.
Right.
There's too many rich people.
Too many rich, but he's one of them.
I know.
And how did he make his money? He's
That's
never
what I'm
worked
trying
a
to
day
say.
in his life.
Right. So we have to be so careful. So careful. You have to stand on firm ground and you have to say, I know who I am. I know I'm a Yid. I know what that means. I know there is a God. I know it's all for the best. Do you see what's going on here? Because you're in a world that's losing it. It's unwinding and you can unwind with it, unfortunately. So we have to these 6 constant mitzvahs are really an important idea. Okay, so we're going to say now what's it called, and we'll get back to this. And this will take, Baruch Hashem time. Like it's going to